YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. As most of us know, the days of using the internet, the days of using social media, the days of using websites like YouTube are coming to an end. Unless, of course, you're going to comply with giving the government what they want, and that is getting a digital ID so they can fully monitor and track every single thing you're looking at, every single comment you make on the internet. And of course, we know this is going to lead to a social credit score. And eventually, this is going to lead to full-on Big Brother type censorship and criminalizing people for free thought. Now, I want to thank a subscriber, Cool Breeze, for sharing this over here on the website about what's going on in Australia. Because you got to remember, we need to keep an eye on all these other countries, because exactly what we see in other countries is what's coming to America. They're just doing it and wording it differently. For example, they're banning YouTube in Australia, which I'll get into later in the video. But as most of you know, YouTube is rolling out this new artificial intelligence technology where they're trying to identify who's a teenager and who's an adult. And of course, this is just a messy way for them to obviously get everybody to have to upload a government-issued identification. So in other words, this algorithm is going to try to determine who is 12, 15, 16, 30, 40 based on the stuff that they look at. And then from there, they're going to decide whether or not you're a teenager or an adult based on what you're looking at. And eventually, they'll tell you, well, if we deem that you're 15, the algorithm says that you're 15, the AI determined that you're 15, prove that you're not, and you're going to have to upload an ID. Now, what they're doing here in America is different than Australia, because here in America, what they're trying to do is protect users from content. And of course, we know the content they're trying to protect people from are channels such as myself. They don't want a mass awakening happening. So when they tell you they're trying to protect kids, it's all them trying to protect their own arses, so to speak. They're not trying to protect any kids. If they were, then they would remove pornography from the internet. They would remove some of the ridiculous crap that is just filthy innuendos all over YouTube. And they would remove the majority of music videos that come out, because the women/trans men, whatever they are, like Cardi B, are half naked. Actually, they're more like 90% naked in the videos. They even showed nipple. I mean, these people could have their breasts out and put a sticker over the nipple, and they justify that as being safe and okay, and they put it in the trending section, which again, if you didn't notice, they actually obliterated the trending section. They've removed the trending section. This is the transition for YouTube and trying to take full control of the platform. YouTube is the most watched platform on the earth, which is again why I've constantly tried to go there, to reach the most people that I can, because most teenagers go onto YouTube. They watch YouTube before they watch cable. Most people don't even have cable anymore. They just have the internet, and they go on their televisions and go to YouTube to watch videos like the ones I put out or other ones that they may be interested in watching. So what we're seeing is a clampdown on all social media, and this is an opportunity for people to unite. Because if they see pushback, if they see people going, you know what, holding up a middle finger and saying, I won't go on Google then. I'm not going to go on YouTube then. I'm not giving you my government ID, and I'm certainly not going along with the digital ID, then they're going to lose control. They have so much control, and they're moving forward at a pace that is so quick right now, because they know that people are addicted to their technology, that they would rather upload a government ID or go along and get a digital ID than they would actually quit the internet. And if they see people quitting the internet, just like they saw how many people weren't going to get the vaccine and how there was just this, a big avalanche starting to occur, people who are turning against the government and turning against vaccines and exposing graphene oxide and all the nanotechnology, that they stopped. They stopped with the variant after variant after variant, and they pivoted, right? Because again, it's all about not just getting the poison in the body, it was also about getting a digital passport or a digital ID so we could see who was sick and who wasn't, who traveled where, who traveled here. And it didn't work. So now they're using the immigration stuff with the border to get people into the psychosis of wanting a digital ID. So Cool Breeze shared this with me. And if you haven't heard, in Australia, this coming to America, age verification is coming to use search engines. Search engines, ladies and gentlemen. So in Australia, users who are logged into search engines like Google will soon be required to verify their age. This is part of a new online safety code, because remember, it all comes in the name of safety to protect you, which is designed to limit children's exposure to harmful online content such as porn. I mean, that's all they got to do. I talked about that with Texas. All the Christians are on board with this. They're like, yes, let's require an ID check for the children in Texas, or let's do this or that to protect them. Instead of just going, whoa, why are we even allowing the pornography industry to exist? Oh, they're allowed to exist. They have the right to make the pornography. They have a right to earn a living doing something disturbing and disgusting. But people like me don't have a right to express our opinions online, right? Yeah, sure. It makes no sense to anybody who has actual sense. But for those of us who are aware of what they're trying to do, and of course, pornography is very important to them, it plays a pivotal role in being able to control people's minds, be able to create perversions in people's minds. And of course, more kids are looking at pornography than they are actually trying to date or marry and create families. So they know exactly how pornography can destroy society. So they would never want to just go, hey, since we control the internet, we're just going to ban pornography from the internet. No. Instead, we'll just make you we'll require you to give us your identification so we can monitor and track everything you're doing online. So they say the code developed by the technology industry and registered by the safety commissioner mandates age assurance measures for all users who log in to search engine accounts. While not yet finalized, the expectation is that these measures will be in place by the end of the year. So here's a clip from the news that Cool Breeze shared. Take a look at this horror-thon that's coming to Australia. And Australia is the closest, I've said this before, they're the closest to China. They have implemented, there's no guns in Australia. They're the ones who are implementing all these social media bans. And again, they're going to, people hear this stuff and they're like, that's great. I don't want my kid on social media. Yeah, we all agree, but that's not how this is going to end. They're going to continue to do this, and you're going to hear pushback from kids and from parents. Well, they're missing opportunities to learn. This isn't fair for my kid. And the government's going to come in and go, okay, well, what we'll have to do is we'll have to get a digital ID, and then these kids can go back on Facebook, they can go back on these social media sites, and that way we'll be able to track them out, who's a bully, who isn't a bully, who's saying what, who isn't saying what, and everyone will agree. They're going to flip the switch on this thing. Right now, they're just telling you that kids are banned, that they need to go outside. Most people are agreeing with it, but eventually they'll change the propaganda and make people convinced that, well, they need a little bit of social media, right? We need a little bit of a digital footprint of these people, so we'll have to just do something else. We can't just fully ban them. Kids are sneaking on their parents' accounts. Those types of stories will continue to come out. And they'll say, well, okay, we need to fix this because these kids who are banned are still going on these things and they're sneaking in onto their parents' accounts, so they're getting on there anyway. So why don't we do something where we can monitor and track them and protect them? Well, we'll have a digital ID. We'll get the kids on board, and then we'll get the parents on board too. That way we can make sure we can tell the difference between the parents and the kids, and the parents aren't just giving it to their kids. So everybody gets a digital ID, right? So now we're moving towards search engines. Take a look at this.
An ID check before you search the web could soon be the new norm as Australian government seeks to add further protections for children online. The eSafety Commissioner is introducing a new industry code, forcing search engines like Google and Microsoft to verify a person's age and filter the content accordingly.
Want to surf the web? First, you'll have to prove how old you are. It's the way of the future, with the eSafety Commissioner introducing age checks for search engines.
This is really going to be quite a widespread change that will affect most people's searching habits.
It's part of a new online safety code, much like the already announced social media age limits, meaning Aussies will need to prove their age when they sign in to a search engine account, like Google or Microsoft. For those logged-in users under 18, the search results will filter out pornography, high-impact violence, and self-harm material.
You can circumvent age checking by using a VPN.
Plus, there's always the option of just not logging in. Still, big tech companies will be forced to age check through photo ID, face scanning age estimation tools, credit card checks, digital ID, parent or guardian consent, stored data, or third-party verification. And that, experts say, has its own risks.
If biometric data is used as part of an identity verification process and it goes out into the wild, it's irrecoverable. It can't be replaced.
The new rules will come in December.
I think the critical question is this the solution?
Those companies who flout the rules face fines of almost $50 million per breach. Samara Gardner, 10 News.
So again, they tell you it's to protect kids from pornography, from high-impact violence, from self-harm material. It is 100% to make sure that these kids, these teenagers, don't find content like the content that me and you put out or watch. They don't want a mass awakening. They have these kids molded. They have their minds. They have them under full-on mind control. And it's so important and imperative to them that they have these teenagers 12 to 16 years old, that they have their brains, because they need to convince them of climate change, the climate laws that are coming. They need to convince them to not want to ever be armed. They want to convince them to be government puppets. They want to convince them literally to be little tattletales. That's what they're trying to mold. Oh, did you see somebody say something online that was me? Come and report it to us, right? As we all know, that's what YouTube turned into. So you see photo ID checks, face scanning, credit card checks, digital ID. They didn't even hide it in the news clip. They literally put digital ID up on the screen, parental guardian consent, stored data, third-party verification. So let's go into more detail about what this actually means. Australians will soon be subjected to mandatory age checks across the internet landscape. In what has been described as a huge and unprecedented change, search engines are next in line for the same controversial age assurance technology behind the teen social media ban, and other parts of the internet are likely to follow suit. At the end of June, Australia quietly introduced rules forcing companies such as Google and Microsoft to check the ages of logged-in users in an effort to limit children's access to harmful content such as pornography. But experts have warned the move could compromise Australians' privacy online and may not do much to protect young people. Quote, "I have not seen anything like this anywhere else in the world," said Lisa Given, a professor of information sciences at RMIT who specializes in age assurance technology. As people learn about the implications of this, we will likely see people stepping up and saying, wait a minute, why wasn't I told that this was going to happen? From December 27th, right in time for Saturnalia, Google, which dominates the Australian search market with a share of more than 90%, and its rival Microsoft will have to use some form of age assurance technology on users when they sign in, or face fines of almost $50 million per breach. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they're really going to pony up and pay. Yeah, okay. They're the ones really who are behind it, because obviously, you know, these big tech companies are Big Brother, working under the, you know, the guise of pretending that they're, you know, independent companies, like as if Google Alphabet Inc. isn't owned by the government. Give me an utter break, okay? It's just, you really believe that? Come on. So the search results for logged in users under the age of 18 will be filtered for pornography, high impact violence, material promoting eating disorders, and a range of other content. Of course, they really just mean conspiracy theories. That's the only thing they want to protect anybody from, because they're conspiracy facts, and everybody will figure out what's actually going on. I think they care about high impact violence. You know, why don't you just remove that content? Oh, well, we can't remove that content. Well, you do a pretty good job of removing content like mine and channels that are like mine, talking about these topics. The algorithm reads and looks for the, you know, the words and the topics, chemtrails or the weather modification, boom, boom, channels disappear, right? But, you know, I mean, it's unbelievable people fall for this stuff. So despite the apparent magnitude of the shift, it has mostly gone unnoticed, in stark contrast to the political and media fanfare surrounding the teen social media ban, which will block under 16s from major platforms using similar tech. As for why so few people have noticed, it may be because the changes took place away from the halls of Parliament in the relatively dry world of regulation. They were contained in a new industry code, one of 3 registered by eSafety Commissioner Julie Inman Grant. And of course, you know, this is like, you know, when they say how quietly this was done, this is because people complied. They complied with what they did with the social media bans for kids. And again, I'm 100% that kids should not be on social media. It's poison. It's poison. All you're doing is creating your digital footprint, right? And as most of you constantly discuss, as I've talked about as well many times, there's going to be this push, including with the stuff with Donald Trump with the visas, like I talked about, where if you don't have a large social media presence, the government considers you a shady character, and it's going to only hurt you, right? So people like me, I don't have Facebook, I don't have any of this crap. I just have a YouTube channel, which I don't have anymore, really, right? So I don't have a social media presence. Oh, that's weird. That's dangerous. We don't know enough about him, right? So they want these kids to be on social media. This is just temporary. Everybody should be off social media. It shouldn't even exist. We should have taken it down. Nobody should have went along with it. Just like I've said a million times, when Facebook came out, everyone I knew, everyone was like, this is so gay. Wow. If you knew people who were on there sharing stuff, that's embarrassing. That was just the constant. Now all those people are on Facebook, and all of them are completely different people because they're under social engineering. They've gone into the Facebook realm. They see other people, monkey see, monkey do. I see people who are somewhat like me growing up, who post pictures of themselves. It looks like a Sears, it looks like the poster from the movie Step Brothers. They're in sweaters. They got their kids. Everybody's dressed the same. All of them doing the same formulated behavior. We got to get our pictures, our family pictures. We all got to dress the same. Oh, okay. Well, that's one thing. But it's another thing to take it, knowing that you're taking it just so you could put it up as your wallpaper on Facebook because all your other cookie cutter friends do the same thing, right? You think that the mindset is we got to get a family picture because we love each other. No, the mindset every time these people take a photo is it good enough for social media? How do I look? It's going to be uploaded to social media. Take another one of me so I could upload it to Facebook or Instagram, right? So all the people that I knew who were anti-social media, they're on it and they're all formulated and nobody even knows that I exist anymore because I'm not on there. And to be quite honest, I'm thrilled with that. What happened to him? Oh, we don't know. He died, I guess. Yeah, sounds good to me. I'd rather die than be on those platforms. So then what we're going to see happen here. So this is Google search, right? This is the move from, okay, we banned kids from Facebook, etc. Nobody pushed back. Now we're going to ban from using Google. And they're going to say, well, we're going to need age checks for Google searches. So kids are going to be like, parents are going to be like, well, my kid needs to do a Google search. He's doing homework. He's doing a project for school. Maybe he wants to research, the background of some fake war that happened, etc. Oh, right. So he's going to need Google search. So what's the resolution? Well, the resolution's the digital ID. And then they pretend like, well, we'll make sure that your kid, he's now got his digital ID. He's going to go on Google search and we'll make sure that pornography can't show up in his search. And the parents will clap. They'll go, yay, that's great, right? And eventually they'll say, hey, we're going to let them back on social media because the government doesn't want you off social media. It's poison for the soul. It's poison for the mind. And it gives them full-on background checks pretty much on every single civilian because people are uploading not just their pictures and locations, their thoughts. And that's what they want. Right? Oh, there was a bombing somewhere. Let's see what this, and the person uploads their thoughts on it. Good, they deserved it. Or, oh, I'm so sorry. Pray for the people here. They monitor all that because that's what you're thinking. You're putting your thoughts out. Even though they're manufactured thoughts, they're trying to watch people like us who put real thoughts out there, not manufactured thoughts, and make sure that we don't exist in this world. So, again, YouTube rolled out their AI-powered tech. They actually even had a video, which I won't bore you with, where we had Neil Mohan, the biggest joke in his. I mean, they're literally sabotaging what YouTube is. And they couldn't care less. It shows you it's not a company, that it's the government run. It was at one point independent. It was at one point, well, I shouldn't say independent, but we all know what the platform was 20 years ago versus what it is now, right? They've even removed the trending section because YouTube is going to be the news source that they use to give you actual fake news, which means state-run media. They don't want any independent people on there. The only ones they want on there are guys like this. I mean, by the way, this is normal looking in today's world. I mean, you could sit there and be like, don't judge somebody else. I mean, can you tell how these guys vote, right? They're probably massively lib. I've never seen them before, but it's got the lib glasses on. I mean, these are men in today's world. Good grief. I just wanted to show you that because they have some big channel and they were talking about getting Emmys. Of course, YouTube Emmys and the Emmys are now going to be connected somehow. And I wanted you to just note, well, they pulled away. They could show you the floor that they operate on. You can see the black and white Masonic checkerboard floor, right? Because, again, all these big content creators are part of the system. They keep these people stupid. They keep these people talking about issues that aren't really issues. They keep them trapped in a psychosis of pointless noise. So now what we're seeing is Australia. So America's doing this, right? America's going, hey, we're going to check out what your age is using AI, right? And then we're going to decide what content you can and cannot watch. Well, in Australia, they're just removing the ability to have a YouTube channel, a YouTube account for anyone who is under the age of 16. Of course, there's ways around it. Don't have an account to watch a video, but I think you do have to have an account anyway to watch most videos, at least ones that they deem controversial. They make you log in, right? But this is what's going on in Australia. So they've gotten no pushback from Facebook, Instagram, how they've banned that for kids. So now they're moving forward with making sure they can ban Google unless you have a digital ID. And we're going to make sure we ban YouTube. And then everyone's going to scream that they want YouTube. So they're going to say, well, here's the solution to digital ID.
Well, Australia's landmark crackdown on social media use for children under 16 will expand to include YouTube.
Today, tech expert Trevor Long will explain how this impacts your family in just a moment. But first, to Today Federal Politics reporter Liz Daniels in Canberra. Lizzie, what's the government's reasoning?
Well, it was on advice from the E-Safety Commissioner, who was warning that there are dangers of what kids are exposed to on YouTube, from targeted advertising to those targeted algorithms. But there is pushback from the platform this morning. It's accusing the government of going back on its word. YouTube now added to that banned list for under 16s. It joins Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, where from December, kids will no longer be able to sign up for accounts. Now, this morning, YouTube has responded in writing, saying, we share the government's goal of reducing online harms, but it's also arguing that it is a video sharing platform. It is not social media. It had been expecting a carve-out from this ban, and it's now considering its options. That could include a legal challenge.
So that's the horror that this world is going to become. But in reality, we still have control. The control here is to get off the internet. The internet is theirs. The internet is their control grid. If everybody went off of it and everybody dismissed big tech and said, I don't need Facebook, I don't need a phone, okay, I don't need the government, we'll make our own if all those things occurred, these people would have to pull back because they say, well, now we're losing our grip over everyone. We better, ease up a little bit. We'll wait a few more years for the next generation. Maybe we could fully control them into doing it. But everybody's fallen in line. You see how MAGA is completely blind to everything that Trump is doing with AI governance. Trump is the one responsible for all of this stuff that is happening. All he has to do is say, I've ended censorship, and these suckers believe it. And you just go, huh? Ended censorship? You got YouTube telling you now that they're going to block what you could see based on if the AI determines you're under 16, they're also going to make you upload an ID. And again, it's not just going to be for people under 16. They're going to a 50-year-old's going to have to upload their ID because they're going to say, "Hey, the AI determined that you're 15." And you'll be like, "I'm 50." And they'll be like, "Well, prove it. Give us your ID," right? And people will be like, "I don't know how to upload my ID. I have to take a picture of it. How does this work?" And they'll say, "Well, we could do facial recognition. How about we just have a digital ID?" That way, everything online, we could stop bullying, we could stop terroristic content, right? YouTube extreme views, which you laugh at it because growing up, you'd hear extreme views. You're like, what does that even mean? Extreme views, like the KKK, right? No. That's not extreme. The government allows those organizations to exist because they feed into the left, right. They feed into racism, which they manufacture on a daily basis. No, they let the KKK exist and they let all these racial groups exist. But if you're a conspiracy theorist, if you're pointing out weather modification and you figured everything out with the climate laws, and that's extreme, right? You would think extreme would be like sitting online saying, we got to go kill you, do this, do harmful acts. All right, maybe that's a little bit extreme. If somebody says that. I don't say that. Never have, never will, right? But we're considered the extreme view. So they have, the other headlines, YouTube drives people into the internet's darkest corners. Yeah, you would think that was like some of the snuff stuff we see on YouTube that I've exposed in the past, right? That dark corner of YouTube where you have these like weird innuendos with kids and adults. It's real creepy crap that you've all probably seen, featured on channels like mine in the past where people call it out and say, why is this allowed up here? This is pedophilia innuendos. No, they're not. The darkest corner of the internet is people who are critically thinking. Because Big Brother wants you to just willingly give up your rights to them, allow them to deceive you, and without you actually thinking about and realizing what they're doing, into giving up all your privacy, and then eventually giving a digital ID so they really could track and monitor you, and then arrest you for, looking at content they deem dangerous. So that's where we are in today's world. We have actually gotten to a point where Australia is introducing age checks for Google searches. We know the response is going to be parents are going to be outraged about that because they're going to say, my kid needs it for school. So what is my kid going to do? And they're going to go, well, I guess, how my kid doesn't have an ID. How are we going to give my kid doesn't have a license. He's 14, right? Or 12 years old. He's got to do a project. He doesn't have an ID. And they go, that's a good point. Well, I guess we'll make one. We'll make a digital one. Your kid can use it to log on to Google. And then we'll monitor what he searches to make sure your kid doesn't search for pornography, right? The second he searches, like, what are chemtrails, his computer will fry, right? The police, knock, knock, knock. Hey, this is the police. Let us in. Your son searched for chemtrails, weather modification. You're under arrest. The parents are under arrest. We're removing the kid from the household for allowing your kid to search these topics. I mean, that's what it heads to. That's what we're moving towards. And again, there is a way to take control back by getting off their platforms, because that gives them and empowers them. That gives them all the power that they need to implement this stuff. So that's what we're headed towards. It's coming to America. We already see it in America with the stuff they're doing on YouTube and other platforms. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.